an earthquake of 8.9 on
Now, on the East Coast, preparations are underway for a potentially history-making snowstorm. Along the eastern seaboard on up to New England, it's happening the way the worst of the storms happen. Two systems coming together, joining forces. Blizzard warnings are posted across a wide area, 50 million Americans in the path of this one before it's all over. It's where we begin tonight. Meteorologist Jim Cantori of the Weather Channel's in Boston. NBC's Ron Mott in Waltham, Mass. We'll begin there. Ron, good evening.
Hey, Brian, good evening to you. There was a big rush on this store earlier today. They're expecting more people tonight and in the morning as they head in to pick up things like shovels and batteries, flashlights, gas cans ahead of what could be a top 10 winter storm of all time. As the storm barrels eastward, today it dumped a lot of snow in places like Madison, Wisconsin, and Chicago, where they're confused.
One day it's 60, the next day it's 20, but we're used to it. We can handle it. We're tough.
But it's the folks in the Northeast whose mettle is about to be severely tested for the first time in years after an unusually mild and dry winter last season.
Palms getting a little sweaty. The excitement starts to build.
From Hartford to Boston and elsewhere.
If you get a thunder snowstorm, you could end up with 27 inches of snow.
Forecasters are sounding the alarm about what could be an historic storm. And those warnings were all the motivation many people needed to stock up on emergency supplies and a heavy dose of courage and patience.
Flashlight, salt, shovel.
In hard-hit Brick Township, New Jersey, still recovering from Superstorm Sandy, nerves are frayed as they prepare again for storm surge.
I'm just really scared, terrified.
At this Boston area Home Depot, a much-needed shipment of ice melt arrived.
New England tonight is struggling with the worst snowfall in its history.
For many here, the looming storm brings back memories of the '78 blizzard, a nor'easter that battered the region 35 years ago this week, dumping as much as 3 feet of snow, killing 100, stranding many more. Fred Bayless remembers it well.
It's a cliche, but it was a perfect storm. It hit right at rush hour. It continued, and it dumped a lot of snow very fast.
City officials say they're ready for a wallop, loading sand and salt onto trucks, a fleet that could number 900 strong at the height of the storm. Airlines are bracing for major travel disruptions throughout New England, 1,100 flights already canceled.
We are hardy New Englanders, let me tell you, and used to these types of storms. We also want to remind everyone to use common sense. Stay off the streets of our city, basically stay home.
The morning rush should be okay. Just flurries in the air, but this time tomorrow night, Brian, forecasters say we could see snow coming down at the rate of 2 to 3 inches an hour.
Ron Mott starting us off. Thanks, Ron. Now we're going to go to meteorologist from the Weather Channel, Jim Cantori in Boston. Jim, due respect to Mayor Menino, I get that they're hardy New Englanders with due respect to the storm, but this one could really dump a lot of snow on the city of Boston.
Yeah, and that's why they're very concerned, Brian, that we don't have a rush hour like the one you see behind me right here. They want all the vehicles off the road by noontime tomorrow. If this is the case tomorrow, we got big troubles in through here. Let's talk about this. Blizzard warnings up for so many, including New York City, Boston, Providence, Hartford, and also Portland, Maine. Remember, New York City last night on the borderline of 1 to 3 inches. Now we're talking about 12 to 18. Let me time this out for you. As Ron said, we don't expect much happening here in Boston by tomorrow morning. But as we go through the day, the snow picks up. Early afternoon, it picks up in earnest. And by 8 p.m., really through that 8 a.m. period is when we are going to get the full force of this blizzard. We are talking about winds that will gust 75 to possibly 100 miles per hour on the coast. Snowfall rates of 2 to 4 inches per hour. Anyone out in this really doesn't stand a chance. You're putting yourself in danger if you go outside. And still, by Saturday night at 7 p.m., it will still be snowing in eastern Massachusetts. The snowfall forecasts here are huge. 1 to 3 inches at Philly, 12 to 18 in New York now, Brian, and 24 plus in Boston and Providence. There have only been 4 storms in Boston history that have eclipsed 24 inches. This has a good chance at being number 5.
And another nor'easter, as Ron pointed out. This rain and snow and wind and high tide's going to hit all those Sandy victims up and down the coast all over again 100 days after that storm. Jim Cantori in Boston. We'll be talking along the way. Two items of space news tonight. Both may cause concern, but keep in mind there's nothing we can do about either one. First of all, an asteroid the size of a 15-story building is going to pass very close by on February 15th. It will pass so close it's going to be beneath the altitude of orbiting satellites at about 8 times the speed of a gunshot. Satellite owners and operators have been notified to keep their equipment out of the way. Australians will probably get the best nighttime view. Second, there are predictions of a large solar storm big enough to knock out satellites and cause Earth power surges. Experts at the Royal Academy in the UK say it's not if but when. We here on Earth will have about 30 minutes notice when it happens, so enjoy your weekend.